Joe Biden, at the behest of Merrick Garland, commuted these people's sentences who were condemned to death, and he removed them from death row. Their punishment is now life in prison. Here's a little snippet.
So there are 2 days to go until Christmas, of course, and some families are getting some shocking news. President Biden announcing the commutations of 34 of 40 federal death row inmates, those benefiting, including child killers and mass murderers like Jose Oliva Torres, who was put behind bars after murdering 2 little girls and a woman between 2005 and 2009. Torres stabbed an 8- and 9-year-old girl after sexually assaulting them in a Chicago suburb in 2005. Then 4 years later, he strangled 20-year-old naval officer Amanda Snell to death in Arlington, Virginia.
Another one is convicted murderer Thomas Stephen Sanders. He shot a 12-year-old 4 times, cut her throat in Louisiana back in 2010. He now gets life.
The Attorney General Merrick Garland recommending to President Biden all but a handful of these death sentences be commuted. Now, the exceptions include Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, Pittsburgh synagogue killer Robert Bowers, and the church shooter down in South Carolina, Dylan Roof, all very high profile, all with political sensitivities. But I would imagine if you are a loved one of any of the other 37, you're like, well, okay, you made these 3 exceptions for stories people have heard about. What about our justice?
Yeah.
What about our kid? And look, I'm actually against the death penalty in cases where there's any ambiguity about guilt whatsoever. But some of these people, absolute stone cold killers, proven beyond any doubt. And Joe Biden comes in the final days of his presidency and waves this wand. And I think we're going to hear from some of these families very, very unhappy about this.
What about justice for the victims? What about justice for the families of the victims? Now, here is what I believe this is all about. I could be wrong, but this is what I truly think is happening. We have seen that Joe Biden has pardoned his son, Hunter Biden. You know, that's the guy that Joe Biden taught how to be a bagman, collect millions for the Biden crime family. And then he gave clemency to 1,500 people last week, 2 of whom were judges who sold out at the expense of juvenile offenders. They closed all the state juvenile offender facilities in Pennsylvania and moved them to private for-profit juvenile detention centers. Those judges were sentenced to multiple years in prison. One of them, I think, only had 2 or 3 years left on his sentence, but Joe Biden just let him go. So what's this latest batch? 37 of 40 people on the federal death row. Merrick Garland recommended it. I think we're seeing a pattern. I think we are seeing and witnessing a course of deliberate conduct. And my suspicion, just looking at zooming out from 30,000 feet and looking at what's happening, my suspicion is we haven't seen anything yet. The grand finale will come, and the American people are getting conditioned to it. Oh, isn't Uncle Joe a compassionate, benevolent person who's trying to heal the wounds of the nation, stop the reign of terror of Joe Biden, Alexandra Mayorkas, and Merrick Garland? These people are the most evil people and deceptive people that I have ever witnessed, not in life, not in government, but in life. So they know that their goose is cooked. They know that their days are numbered. Here is my prediction. All of these commutations are part of a bigger plan, a grand plan. A grand plan that on January the 19th at midnight, Biden will likely pardon his brother, Jim. He will likely pardon Merrick Garland. He will likely pardon Alexandra Mayorkas, along with Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, Adam Kinzinger, and Christopher Wray. While we're at it, let's add on Letitia James, Fonnie Willis, Alvin Bragg, and his boy, Jack Smith. Now, you may not have heard it here first, but you've certainly heard it now. It's Christmas Eve. Whether I am right or not, we will know inside of 3 weeks. Can this country hold hands and bond together for another 3 weeks to get Donald Trump safely into the White House and stop the madness, stop the insanity, stop the corruption, stop the politicization of the weaponization of our institutions against Americans? You're just being warmed up, ladies and gentlemen, to what is about to come. It will be the worst scandal of any presidency in our nation's history. People who have done this country a grave injustice will be preemptively pardoned before Donald Trump takes office. And that's what all this is about. If they can let out cold-blooded murderers without explanation, it has to be part of a bigger plan. We will find out no later than midnight on January the 19th. And then what will happen? On January the 20th, the news cycle will be the inauguration of Donald J. Trump. And it will all get very neatly swept under the rug in true Washington fashion. Except Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are watching everything that is happening. So for my friends in the new Trump administration, I urge you, damn the pardons, damn the clemencies. Investigate these loathsome people, expose their corruption and their crimes, and try them in a court of law. Yes, it will be for naught. They will suffer no penalty other than a jury verdict that they were guilty of the crimes for which they were preemptively pardoned. And that's good enough for me under the circumstances. But do not sweep it under the rug. Do not allow them to go quietly into the night with their government pension and their chauffeur-driven security team. No, that's much too good for them. And I'm in a Christmas spirit. Sorry. Sometimes the truth hurts.